So my number two is "Ellie Women" by the Doors. So the second time this band's featured in my top 20. It was released on the 19th of April 1971. Contains 10 songs and is approximately 48 minutes and 31 seconds long. It's the last album to include Jim Morrison whilst he was still alive. Obviously, you've got the likes of An American Prayer, which we mentioned earlier on, which features Jim Morrison posthumously. It's my favourite Doors album, and it's the album I would recommend anybody who's maybe not all that familiar with the Doors to listen to. Of course, you've got their first self-titled album, The Doors, which was released in 1967, which includes the likes of Break On Through to the Other Side, which perhaps the song that they're best known for, Alabama song, Whiskey Bar, Light My Fire as well, which
it's
of
a big
course Will Young went on to record.
Yeah, is that the better version? The Will Young
Absolutely.
version?
But yeah, for me, Ellie Women is the superior album by far. From the second that kind of fat, bluesy bass line kicks in on the Changeling, which is probably my favourite Doors song. You know that you're going to be in for a treat. And again, Jim Morrison delivers his vocals with such suave and charisma. It's just phenomenal. But by the same token, there's times where he's just roaring down the microphone, but it's just so cool. There's also a point in the album on Car Hiss by My Window, which again is just this really kind of classic kind of blues song. He pretends to be a harmonica, or rather he makes the noise of a harmonica, which I don't think anybody else would get away with,
No.
to be honest. It's only because Jim Morrison that you kind of allow it. There is the odd bit of kind of psychedelia in there in the forms of the likes of La America, for example, which do appear at odds with the rest of the album, but I would say that the rest of the track kind of more makes up for this kind of low point, I suppose, as it were. And it ends with that kind of iconic Riders on the Storm, which is such an atmospheric piece. I mentioned it earlier on when we were kind of talking about American Prayer. It starts with the kind of sounds of kind of a rainstorm, crashing thunder. There's that driving bass line that comes in, this kind of spiralling keyboard or kind of organ sounds that are provided by Ray Mancherez. And again, you've got Roddy Krieger's iconic guitar sound, which is always there, but often kind of hides away at the beginning of songs, but then comes to the fore and provides these brilliant wee kind of flourishes that just get into your head and you just want to emulate. As I said earlier on, when we were listening to American Prayer, we'd often sing the wee guitar flourishes. And it's the same on this album. It's got a very kind of lounge lizard kind of feel to it, if that makes sense. But as I said before, if you want to listen to the Doors at the height of their kind of game, this is the album for you. As I've said here, pour yourself a large glass of Havana Club and just get wired in. But yeah, there's an extremely influential band and album, particularly when I lived in Aberdeen. It was Ali that got me into them, and it was an album that was played a lot whilst we were kind of sitting drinking and stuff like that. And again, nostalgia kind of comes into it for me, but I still think it's a really good album. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I've got this album on cassette tape. I found it in a charity shop for like 50 pence.
Right.
I've got it on cassette. That's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, okay.
Good album.